How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SOFI. So I've been getting a lot of messages saying, Dre, we need to get an update. We ended up getting that bank charter, but the stock ended up going the other way afterwards. What is going on? Plus, we got the Super Bowl coming up on February the 13th. Again, I got you. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for SOFI. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $11.10, being down 2.29%. On the low, it tested $10.51, and then on the high, testing $11.34. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 78.768 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 113.866 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and we also did see a pullback in the stock, which I'm a little bit surprised about due to the fact a lot of tech stocks did run up a good amount towards the end of the day. But let's take a look at the chart. So when we take a look at the daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it was at 33.37. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. So what we can clearly see is a downtrend, and SOFI is in a bear market. And like I was saying previously, I was expecting us to have some sort of a bounce towards the end on Friday. We didn't get that, so for this coming week, I want to see us being able to get to this $12 level. We know this will be a key area, and if we're able to actually reclaim 12 and then make that move to 13, because we do have the Super Bowl that is coming up, I think that would be very interesting for SOFI, because then it could set us up to see if we can touch around to that $14 area. But one thing that we cannot ignore is the way the chart is looking, right? So there's a good possibility, or I should say a strong possibility, that SOFI will fall below $10. And I'm talking about going into the single digits, so around the $9 area. And for anyone who's a long-term investor, I'm going to be asking you this question. If SOFI falls below $10, are you going to be adding? Are you going to be looking to actually even start a position if you've been considering it? The reason why I'm bringing this up, because at the end of the day, if you have high conviction, you should be excited for a potential dip if it does occur. But for any traders, I would say, hey, you want to see if it could hold up at least where it had previous support on the Friday at 10.51, so having a stop loss around that area, and then looking forward to seeing if it can make that rally going into February the 13th. That's how I would play it. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the filings for January the 28th, we have Profit and Good Sun Inc. that purchased 275 shares. We have Exane Derivatives that purchased 13,326 shares. And we also have Amplius Wealth Advisors LLC that purchased 2,020 shares. And we see a closed position from Evolution Wealth Advisors LLC. So now when we take a look at the short interest, the dark pool short volume ratio is at 40.58%. And then for the dark pool short volume being just over 17.62 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 18 minutes ago. And then for the short SOFI rate, it is at 0.60%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we could see for the close of the 27th, it was at 40.48. And then for the close of the 28th, so the Friday that just passed, it's at 40.58. So one thing that is very clear, SOFI does continue to have short squeeze potential, and it's part of the reasons why you see a lot of volatility in the stock. So now let's move on to the order flow distribution.
Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SOFI. So we see here on the inflows at 183, and then on the outflow it's 132. So we ended up having our inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 4.02, on the medium it was 115, and then on the small it was 63.56. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 3.77, on the medium it was 90.07, and then on the small it was 38.53. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for January the 28th that just passed, so the Friday, it was at 0.25 inflow. And then when we take a look at what happened on the 27th, it was a negative outflow of 5.31 million. And then for the 26th, it was an inflow at 2.89 million. On the 25th, it being an outflow of negative 1.05 million. And then on the 24th, it was at 3.53 million. So we had 3 inflow days for large scale orders out of the past 5 trading days. When we analyze the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had a lot more buying than we had selling. It was 63.56 million versus 38.53 million. When we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the large, which we just covered, which represents whales, institutions, funds, and so forth, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 9.76%. No surprises there. There's a lot of traders that go in and out of SOFI. But one thing that is very clear, there's a lot of demand in the market for shares. But like I was saying inside of the technicals, I was quite surprised at the fact that this stock was red on a day where tech saw a lot of strength on the Friday. So this does give me some indication to say as far as for trading opportunities to keep a close eye on this play for the coming week. So now let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for SOFI, yes, it is in a bear market. It has been on quite the downtrend. Yes, we did also end up getting the bank charter recently, but many are saying, hey, what's going on with the stock? Why isn't it going in the upward direction? And one thing we have to understand, we see as far as growth stocks, especially the ones who are not profitable as of yet, they are getting slaughtered. This is due to market conditions. But one thing that I want you to pay attention to, if this stock does decide to pull back and go below under 10 bucks, if you have high conviction, you shouldn't be complaining whatsoever. You should be taking that opportunity to buy the dips. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just me saying if you are a true investor and you really believe in the stock, if it does dip, you shouldn't be concerned. You should be excited. And that's exactly the point that I want to get across. As far as for anyone that's looking at SOFI for a swing trade opportunity, I would be setting up my stop loss either at around $10 or around $10.50. We do know the Super Bowl is coming up on February the 13th. So could we see a potential rally? Yes, that could be likely. But one thing that SOFI needs to do, it needs to go back to the $12 area. Reclaim that level. If we have that momentum continuing, this is where we can start getting to 13, and it can get even more interesting if it starts getting above 14. Again, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if we do get a rally, I think it's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. So this is why I'm saying if you have a catalyst or you have buying volume coming into the stock, we could look forward to seeing some strong moves to the upside. And that is why I was mentioning, hey, it could possibly be the Super Bowl that gets this stock moving. Also, yesterday I ended up receiving a personal message saying, Dre, what are your thoughts on SOFI due to Lending Club's earnings? Yes, they disappointed. They ended up pulling back quite a bit. Did this impact SOFI? Most definitely. But one thing that I feel separates SOFI from Lending Club, SOFI has a lot more services, right? They got a lot more exposure, and this is why I feel like it has a lot more growth potential. So that's one thing that you're going to want to be aware of, because if we take into consideration SOFI's book value, it is around $5.27. So the current price of where it's trading at, I do feel like it does provide a deal for investors out there who are interested. Again, this is not financial advice, but it's just to tell you that SoFi is not trading at an expensive price. So this is why I say there is an opportunity for anyone who wants to do their homework, do their due diligence, and actually see the value that's in this stock. I do see that it has a lot of upside, and as far as for my average cost, because I am in SoFi, it is around $14.97, something like that. So once it breaks below 10 bucks, I'm going to be looking to add even more to my position and get my average cost down. Again, I like to dollar cost average into my plays, and I'm willing to go in with a total of 5 entries before I stop buying. And so far to this date, I've done like about 2 entries, so I still got 3 more. And usually on my last entry, so the stock even comes even closer to its book value, that's when I'll really start loading the boat and then call it a day from there, and then see what this stock does, because I'm down to hold it for a couple of years, even 5 years. It all depends what things are looking like. We know they do have earnings that is coming up. As long as the company is showing that they're making continuous improvements in regards to operations and also making that step towards profitability, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to sit down and wait. And this is why when it comes to growth stocks and the way they've been slaughtered inside of the market, you need to have high conviction in whichever play you're in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.